I'm honored to have the chair allow me to go first. Thank you, Maya. Our comment as the Measure Y Oversight Committee, and good evening, members of the Public Safety Committee, was what's not to like about this. This is clearly and obviously something that's focused potentially at one of the cores of violence source. Consequently, it's very intricately linked to the notion of violence prevention. Our comment was more on the process of how it was brought to us. We felt that the proposal was very vague. Ms. Anderson speaks beautifully, but extremely quickly, and covers a lot of ground, cites many statistics and examples. But we were having, quite frankly, a very hard time digesting it. And what we really wanted to see was more specifics of how these dollars were going to be used in our community, how they were going to be leveraged. Is this a one-time expenditure, as has been mentioned? We actually seriously doubt that if it were successful, as we all hope it will be, that it would be a one-time expenditure. We think this ought to be part of something bigger and potentially something continuous. We did not feel that we had the full debate. We did not feel that we had a full presentation. So what we asked for in the committee is by no means to ignore this or to somehow quash it. We asked for the city to come back to us, the mayor, in a month with a slightly more detailed presentation, and I suspect with that information at hand, we would have concurred with the assessment of the validity of the process and come back through the appropriate channels to you and basically said we're on board. Our concern is as an oversight committee, if we make a comment to the city's representatives that yes, we think this is good, however, we would like more information, and then there's a letter from the mayor essentially going to you and saying, thank you very much, folks, we've heard what you have to say, but we're going to go around you and we're going to do this anyhow. I think there's a bit of a process issue from our perspective that if we're going to be an oversight committee, how does that process of oversight get exercised relative to the information at hand? In summary, we think this is great. We'd like to move forward with it, but before we recommend it to you, we would like to have more details. Thank you very much.
Good evening of the committee members. Maya-Dillard-Smith, Chair of the Measure Y Oversight Committee. I would like to thank my colleague Ellie for communicating to you all the concerns that the Oversight Committee had on the 19th when this proposal was initially brought forward to us. It was not the first time we had heard about it. It was first brought to our attention in October, and at that time we asked for further detail on the expenditure and use of the money. I'd just like to share with you that in your packet this evening under item 3, there is a contact list of existing Measure Y grantees. I just want to share with you to give you a sense of our current investment in street outreach. We are spending about $1.5 million on street outreach through our Measure Y expenditures. About $900,000 of that is directly targeted to quote-unquote street outreach with a component of case management, and it's actually serving individuals aged 14 to 25. And so one of the concerns that the committee raised is how is this distinctly different from what we're already investing in. I think Ms. Youngdahl in her last comment did indicate, in fact, that there is overlap in the two populations. And so there's some concerns from an efficacy standpoint about the use of these funds to go out to bid for new outreach workers. It's my sense from a good policymaking standpoint and a fiduciary standpoint that, in fact, it doesn't make good sense for us to go back out to RFP, considering that we've already done that and considering the administrative costs associated with going out to bid, when, in fact, when you look at the list of outreach providers, it is a broad cross-section of the entire city of individuals who have already been vetted. It's roughly a small amount of money in the larger scheme of our investment, and it would make sense, in my opinion, that we would actually want to bolster and enhance our existing investment in Measure Y. Lastly, I'd just like to say, to expound on what Ellie mentioned, is outreach is widely recognized as an important component of any violence prevention strategy. What we're lacking in Oakland is a broad, comprehensive strategy for how we're going to address violence. And so what I'm concerned about is a lot of discussion about emergent needs. So we're going to shift resource anytime we've got an emergent need here or an emergent need there. I don't think that was the intention of these resources. I think that these resources were thought to be a sustainable funding source to actually prevent violence over the long term. And if we continue to redirect resources through this pot of money every time there's a spike in crime in this part of the city or that part of the city, we will never get a broad handle on the issue before us. We've got to actually have this relate to a larger context and a larger strategy. And I'll leave you with that. Thank you very much.